Hello, and welcome to the stream. Let's go ahead and see what we can get into. Let's do a little bit of Bigfoot from the Western Bigfoot Society.
Caribbean and the U.S. Virgin Islands, south, well into South America, north to Santa Country in the Folds, is live overnight talk radio. I'm Art Bell. The program is named Coast to Coast AM. Never the same, always something a little different for you. Tonight shall be no exception. I want to tell you I've got a big announcement. Coming up at midnight tonight, outside about 55 minutes, something like that. Big announcement, and so I will just clench my teeth and not say a whole lot more about it. I've now got two other announcements that I'm going to make. One is tomorrow night's program. I had occasion to, for about 30 minutes today, talk with the program manager, the director, the guy who was running Project Heart in Alaska. John Hector is in Boston. I talked to him for about 30 minutes, and I had a whale of a conversation with him, which I did not regard as a satisfactory conversation for a number of reasons, and they will become apparent tomorrow night when I have Dr. Nick Begich back on the program from Alaska. And yeah, that's right, we're going to talk about heart. Believe me, we're going to talk about heart. So you don't want to miss that. That's tomorrow night. A little change of plans. Dr. Nick Begich, subject heart, as a result of a conversation I had earlier today. So we're gonna look once again into this incredible project out in Alaska to what's called an ionospheric heater, and the implications of it, and my conversations with the director. And we're going to talk a little bit once again with Dr. Begich about that for reasons, as I said, that are going to become very apparent to you. Now, tonight, I'm going to do something during the first hour in a moment that I've been very much wanting to do, and I've been pursuing, as a lot of you know, and that is the story of Bigfoot. So I've been looking for somebody who knows something about Bigfoot, and Ray was going to be with us tomorrow evening, but I've moved him up this evening for the latter reason regarding what's going to occur tomorrow night. And Ray was kind enough to jump up to the position. And so in a moment, we're going to a man who heads the Western Bigfoot Association in Oregon. His name is Ray Crow, and he'll be with us in just a moment. Coast to Coast AM is happy to announce that our website is now optimized for mobile device users, specifically for the iPhone and Android platforms. Now you'll be able to connect to most of the offerings of the Coast website on your phone in a quick and streamlined fashion. And if you're a Coast insider, you'll have our great subscriber features right on your phone, including the ability to listen to live programs and stream previous shows. No special app is necessary to enjoy our new mobile site. Simply visit coasttocoastam.com on your iPhone or Android browser. Growing, the audio subscription service of Coast to Coast AM has a new name, Coast Insider. You'll still get all of the same great features for the same low price, just 15 cents a day when you sign up for 1 year. The package includes podcasting, which offers the convenience of having shows downloaded automatically to your computer or MP3 player, and the iPhone app, and live and on-demand programs. You'll also get our amazing download library of 5 hours of shows. Just wait. A new subscriber over 1,000 shows will be available for you to enjoy and listen to at your leisure. Plus, you'll get 3 on-demand broadcasts of our films, and live shows, and 2 weekly classes. And as a member, you'll have access to our monthly live chat sessions with George Story and special guests. If you're a fan of Coast, you won't want to be without Coast Insider. Visit coasttocoastam.com to sign up today. Looking for the truth? You'll find it on Coast to Coast AM with George Story. I think now, as we look back, we can probably say with pretty certain that some people in government might have been aware of what was going on and they turned their cheek the other way just to let it happen. I also believe that some bigger groups got involved with Al-Qaeda to do what they did on a horrible day. This wasn't just a small group of people who came and did their thing. It was a much bigger picture there. And if you see the events that have unfolded that this tragedy occurred. We've lost rights, the most of Afghanistan, Iraq, has really not stopped because it's going to continue. Right? Just get out and snoop around on foot. And so I had them deliberately leave me behind, which is something that they were setting me up they wouldn't have known about. But they weren't gone 15 minutes before I found a set of Bigfoot tracks going down the side of the road. And that's when I thought it was being set up. But then again, I found they chose the location, right? Yes, and it was a little campsite, and it was way back up in the hills, and we'd stayed overnight there. This is up near Yale Reservoir in Washington. And incidentally, you're talking to Portland, Oregon. Oh, okay, good. Yes, and so I found a game trail. They told me to watch the game trails because the Bigfoot likes to eat deer and elk and things. And right off the bat there, I found trees that were broken at heights that didn't really appear to be something a human would have done. And then I found a big long hair on one of the trees. And to this day, those people won't talk to me because I kept the hair, which has made me think, well, gee, I might very well have a good hair. There are ways, this day and age, to test these things to see whether they're good or not. But yeah, I'm getting an awful lot of mileage out of this. I hate to give it to some scientist to cut up and lose it in his back drawer. Well, matter of fact, there's some scientists, it's a wild story, that is now, they are testing some Bigfoot fur or hair or whatever you want to call it. Well, yes and no. The problem with this is the fellow that selected the hair was on Good Morning America and wanted that he faked track. And so then, we immediately wondered, well, I wonder where the hair came from. He submitted some hair once before and it turned out to be synthetic fibers. Right. And so, we're just holding our breath. We'll wait and see. Even the worst drunk, culture, drug addict, whatever, can see a Bigfoot. We can find Bigfoot evidence. So, we're not writing them off completely, but we're keeping a pretty jaundiced eye on it. Okay. I take it you are sort of even though you speak on subject, you're a little bit skeptical, or skeptical at least of the claims made by many people in the field about Bigfoot. Yes, it's not that I'm very skeptical, but I listen to everything, and I don't let my skepticism overrun when I'm talking to somebody. I just let them like they're telling me the truth. I do have a newsletter, and I write all these things up in my newsletter, and I let my readers decide, well, is this a good report or not? If something hokey shows up, I'll try to include that too. All right, what is the best evidence so far that you've seen, and you pay attention to all of this, for the existence of this creature? Well, so far right now, I suppose everybody's seen the Roger Patterson film from October 1967 as Bigfoot running across the creek bed. That's right. And we all think that's a good photo, and that's real good evidence that Bigfoot actually exists. And then we go on from there, and there's footprints found all over, hair, dropping samples. I've had a lot of hair samples come in, though, and I keep having them checked all the time, and, they're bear or horse or dog or something like that. Nothing really stands out as being Bigfoot. Same thing with the fecal droppings that come in, and there's no way of checking them. What we need is for somebody that sees a Bigfoot to just run up and grab a handful of hair out of him. I don't have the evidence we need. Well, I mean, gosh, we do have one person that's oriented in that direction. I suppose a lot of your listeners have heard of Peter Burton before. That's a familiar name, yeah. Okay, he's very well funded from the Boston Academy of Science. Has a lot of really high-tech equipment. And his idea is using motion detectors and infrared cameras and things that transmit back to the home base to pick up a Bigfoot spoor or something moving through the woods that will move his motion detectors. It's over 300 pounds. And they'll sight one of these things. Well, they have a contract with Hillsborough Helicopter here in Oregon, and what they will do is go up with one of those infrared devices and hunt for the creature. Well, assuming they do find one, then they use the geosatellite location devices to track its movements with, and then they'll try and on the ground get a choke point. That is, force it into some place so they can get close to it. That's a really serious effort. And they have a very sophisticated dart device. It's not the kind that knocks them out, it's a hollow one. And what they want to do is take a tissue sample. And this is a device that's been used in Southeast Asia on orangutans. It doesn't seem to hurt the creatures at all, and it seems to be very reliable. In this case, then we'll have our sample. That's the equivalent of having a handful of hair, of course. We really wish them the best of luck on this, and we support them all we can. I have an awful lot of reports that come to my organization, which is Western Bigfoot Society, and I'm the director. And we're just really, really hoping that something comes. He has another year and a half to run on this project, and everything's in place that we know of. And, reports keep coming in all the time. We don't know whether they're good or whether they're bad. All right, that's one approach, and that is a non-lethal approach to Bigfoot. There is a scientist up in Washington State, and I think it was in one of the Seattle papers, and then otherwise another paper. There was a report that suggested he's saying, look, the first Bigfoot any hunter, anybody finds, ought to be shot and killed. And the second one, when the second one is shot and killed, whoever did it ought to be hung. And for the sake of science, then at least one Bigfoot ought to be shot, killed, and I presume dissected and examined greatly. And that's the reasoning behind what he's saying. What do you think about that? Well, we're talking to Dr. France, of course, and he's very well known, and his opinions are very well known. We just think they're rather outdated is all. Back in the 1930s and so forth, if you wanted to find a new panda or a new whatever, you always brought in a corpse and dissected it. Sure. But today things have changed a lot. I think attitudes have changed a lot towards things out in the wild. And there's a very good probability this thing is human, which brings up a whole new story, of course, in the event that you killed one. It certainly would. Pardon? It certainly would be called murder. Yes, we'll get to that, but we got plenty of time. I have a pretty good story to tell you on that, too. Anyways, there's an awful lot of people like Peter Byrne. Peter Byrne used to be a tiger hunter way back down. But he reversed around and had become a strict conservationist. He's just returned recently from Nepal, where he's been working on a wildlife reserve. And I had a hint that he was chasing down people who are poisoning tigers and such. But he doesn't want to see one of these things harmed in any way, shape, or form. That's the reason the dart approach. Many other people have thought of tranquilizing him in the past. So that can be very dangerous also. Well, tranquilizers, I think, have to take into account the mass, weight, size of the animal. Exactly, and if you're wrong, then the animal could very well die, or you get pretty pissed at getting darted in the chase right now. I don't say that already or not. It's too late anyways. But it can come right after you too. So we tell everybody, just when you see something like that, photograph it, look at everything you can, try to communicate if you can. Oddly enough, these things are incredibly curious. I have many reports. As a matter of fact, this is my first story. I was told by this old fellow up in Carson, Washington, Davis Perry is his name, that if you take a stick and you whap it on a stump or a tree and make a knocking noise, and you do it in a pattern like 3 raps and pause and 2 raps and pause, you get an answer. And so I spent all day wandering around the woods doing this one day, but all of a sudden I got an answer. It just floored me. I was just really shocked. And I've mentioned this to several other people since then, and they've had the same results. Quite a few people, as a matter of fact. And I found that there was a society at one time in California, the Bay Area group, where they've done the same thing. And they'd even written a paper on it. One fellow had made a big drum-like thing, taking it up in the woods and banging it around and had replies. Something to do with the curiosity of the things, or maybe it's some communication thing that they recognize themselves in you. So we just don't really know. All right. Well, what about this? What you alluded to the fact that Bigfoot might be human. What exactly do you think Bigfoot is? Okay, now that's a personal opinion, and there's lots and lots of people that disagree with this. Dr. Krantz in particular. I think it's an early man, and I'm going for a relic Homo erectus. And I have a lot of reasons for that.
A relic? Wait. A relic Homo erectus?
Yes, it's something that sort of, they were disappeared from our scene 500,000 years ago. And scientists believe they're extinct. But there's a lot of us that believe, well, there's always a few of them hanging around still in the Caucasus Mountains in Asia, in Europe.
Are you talking now about an earlier version of man?
Java 8 man, or Peking man, was a Homo erectus. I think most people are familiar with those terms, although we have 500,000 years of evolution to account for. That's why I say relic. One of the main reasons I think this is that the Patterson creature that we were talking about earlier is a female and has breasts. Humans have breasts, babies do not. Dr. Grant believes the thing is a relic ape called Gigantopithecus that supposedly went extinct about the same time. I don't agree with him. A lot of other people do agree with him. I get into a lot of good arguments from time to time. There will be no way of proving that unless Dart actually gets into one of them.
Well, that one moving video we have lend itself toward one theory or the other.
The Patterson one.
That's right.
Yeah, the thing has breath. That's my main thing from it. There's a lot of other, one of the arguments, well, if it's an early man, why is it hairy? Because early men were great hunters. They chased antelope over the plains until they dropped, and therefore they lost their hair and became man. But now science is beginning to look just exactly to the opposite. They think those early people were scavengers and not hunters. Very well, they might be hairy. The size, Bigfoot's reported to be pretty good size. There in California was 7'3", I believe. But then Homo erectus is a pretty good guy. Leakey has uncovered one in Africa, Narcomi boy, I think they call it. He was a 6-footer, and generally they're 6-footers.
So, I'm 6 feet.
Okay, right, And which isn't really when you consider our average human span from some of our basketball players and their feet. You can see, well, there's no big stretch of the imagination to get a Bigfoot out of it. It's 7 foot.
Interesting. You described them then really as humans. In other words, I almost imagine that a Bigfoot could either be part of society or just be a human being, not carrying on big for society, and living in the wild, as other animals live in the wild.
Yes and no, but we're talking about two different species.
All right.
For instance,
hold your thought there. We're at a break point. We got a break here at the bottom of the hour. Ray Cruz is my guest. He's director of the Western Bigfoot Society up in Oregon, in Portland, as a matter of fact. And we'll be back with Ray in just a moment. Featuring your Bigfoot coast to coast. 1996. Top of the Hello, I'm Marco, and you are listening to Coast to Coast. This is Ray, director of Western Bigfoot Society. And we'll be back here in just a moment. The audio subscription service of Coast to Coast AM has a new name. Coast Insider. Shows to control the same great features for the same low price. The package includes podcasting, which automatically download shows for free. And the Apple app. You'll also get our amazing download library with 5 years of shows. It's over 1,000 shows for you to elect and enjoy. If you're a fan of Coast, you don't want to be without Coast Insider. Visit coasttocoastam.com to sign up. Explore your universe with Coast to Coast AM and George Shelley. If this was up to you, would you go back to Mars or would you go straight to Mars? There could be scientific reasons to go to one destination, geopolitical reasons to go to another. There could be tourist business reasons to go to find an asteroid. So that when you reach space in the solar system becomes your backyard. And now you have a choice to go where you want. That's those variations. We take you back to the night of February 15, 1996, on our pedal somewhere in time. We're going back to Ray Poe, who is the director of the Western Bigfoot Society, is in Portland. We're talking about, Ray, what Bigfoot is. And I had a guy joking, obviously, I think last night, send me a message. And the message was, I'm a Bigfoot, and I shave every day before I go to work. My whole body. Well, if a Bigfoot was hairless, could a Bigfoot, in your opinion, walk the streets of our cities and not be known or discerned?
Well, I think you can put a suit on him probably, and he would probably get by as long as nobody spoke to him. I don't think they have an oral language like we do. Their throats, I don't think are built for it. But yes, I think he can put a hat on and a suit and a tie, and he can walk down the street if he was all shaved, clean shaved. But that just gets away from. Like for instance, I say they're a man, but that's like a deer and an elk are in the same family of animals, right? But they're completely different. They have different habits and they do different things, and they have different languages between them, whatever. The same as like with early humans and ourselves. We're not. We couldn't. I don't think we could breed. That's not for sure yet. But what I'm trying to make is say there is a big distinction. And the thing I mentioned to you before about what I was talking about was in Skamania County in the state of Washington, it's against the law to kill a Bigfoot. And the reason they enacted that law was to keep people from running up all around in the woods and the guns and so forth. But it's sort of been picked up as something that should be applied everywhere in the country. But to put this to a test once, we thought it'd be fun. We went to Carson, Washington, to the Bigfoot campground, and we had a meeting. This is last August. And our meeting was a mock trial. And actual brunt of the whole thing was that the law reads that if the thing is an ape, and you convince the coroner that it's an ape, then it's only a gross misdemeanor to kill one. But if it is indeed proved to be human, then you're going to be bound over for murder. And so we had one of our members, Mr. Larry Lund, who's probably listening in. He volunteered to be the killer. And we got a stuffed gorilla costume and put it in a costume, and a bagpiper piped it in, and the police brought him in handcuffs, and a local sheriff was in on it, and matter of fact, we had 3 judges show up.
Wow, that's kind of like a modern version of the Stokes trial, almost, isn't it?
Well, exactly. With the exception of this particular time, we had OJ on. And so we modeled it sort of after that. We had a pretty good judge up there, Barney. His name was last name now. At any rate, he did a really excellent job. And we ended up with a hung jury, so I won't leave everybody hanging here. But we had two DNA experts, both of them PhDs, came in and testified. We had biologists, police officers, forest people.
Sounds like the DNA evidence didn't impress your jury any more than that of the OJ.
Well, you know, our prime one came in. There's no big bottles of DNA and darts and graphs, and you really went over the heads of most of the jury.
It was like newspaper.
And the other one came in and says, well, more or less like the OJ type thing, that hey, these steps are all proven to be invalid in that one place. Consequently, these are all endowed too, which completely threw our other prosecutor for a loop. Which is a very attractive young lady that flew from Los Angeles to be our prosecuting attorney. Yeah, everybody called her. But yeah, that's what they're about is there are a lot of comparisons to the OJ trial here. But the point being is that the screen is spot on. People don't really know yet exactly what it is, whether it is an ape or whether it is a man. Robert Crumb wants to think that it's an ape because then it is okay to take a specimen and collect one.
Right. Oh, of course.
Whereas if it turns out to be human, then of course that would be out and out murder to them.
Right. So curiosity turns into murder.
Right. And I'm sure that if there ever was such a trial, it ends up being a circus at any rate. But still, the keys are there, and maybe one of these days some hunter's going to do that, go knock one of those things off and say, hey, here I am, I've killed one of those things. And of course, immediately somebody will confiscate the money, and it'll end up being this stuff, because you won't get anything out of that.
They're not going to take the Air Force Base.
That's possible, too. It's possible I've already done that.
I'm sure it is. It really is.
Yes, I have a tremendous amount of reports come in, and they're scattered all over the map in terms of what the creature is. I have people that believe in underground caves where they live as a society. I just had a report come in not too long back of a flying saucer here in Ascadero, California that landed. Two of these things got out, the soil samples got in and blew off again. This is one of the, being a skeptic, this is one of the reports I report them faithfully, but I always have a lot of doubts about them.
All right, well, I've got one for you, Ray. I want to stand by the second. I want you to listen to this, Ray. Somebody that I respect very, very much, Linda Howe, who appears on my Sunday show Dreamland, got what seems to be a very, very credible tape of an alleged Bigfoot scream or yell actually recorded in the forest. And it was quite a long story that I'm not going to burden you with right now, Ray, but here is that sound. Run up and grab a hunk of hair of that thing. Can you tell us about it?
This is very good. Matter of fact, I've had other tapes come in, two other tapes come in, and the sounds are very similar. There's another, these are from Oregon, then I have another one from North California, and they're still very similar. I think they got an actual creature in there. I think it's a good tape.
Yeah, so do I.
The one from North California, they've done a bunch of tests in the laboratory stuff like that. And there were some pictures and things in there that just go outside of the range of anything that anybody else, any other animals normally make. This is one of the, I don't know if it's a communication thing, that is, here I am, where's my mate, or this is my territory, I don't want anybody else here. Even a robin will do that, of course. So, there again, it's a matter of we've got to learn more about these things.
All right, toward that end, and I'm probably asking you to speculate or guess now, what else can you do when you're talking about Bigfoot? Is there any guess, has anybody made any guess about how many there might be. What is the population of Bigfoot? I mean, it's silly to ask, I know, because we can barely get our hands on one, I can't. But what do you think it might be?
We've made a lot of approaches. We've done some analysis of population studies of gorillas to try to compare them and things like that. And there's supposedly the best guess right now is Dr. Francis, and I'll go along with that, that there, for every 10 or 100 bears, there's one Bigfoot, which would mean across the nation, there's thousands of them. Because these things occur in every state. We have reports from Florida and Pennsylvania are a couple of the biggest report areas, and then out on the west coast, of course, Oregon, Washington, and California. But there, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, you wouldn't expect them out in these dry areas. But there again, it's because we have this thing in our head that, hey, these are deep forest things. The only place they live is in the virgin forest. That's not true. They like the secondary areas. They come into the outskirts of communities, raise garbage cans, do all kinds of stuff like that, especially in the bad winter and they're hungry.
Sounds like what a bear would do.
Exactly. You can pretty much pattern these things after the bears, with the exception that they're a whole different critter. Right now, we have a sort of a stroke of luck going at the town hall Malala, Oregon, recently in the news from all the flooding and stuff.
Yes.
But anyway, on the Malala River south of town, there's one of the residents down there, and I don't know what his reasons are, but he's been putting cabbages and apples out for these things. Consequently, well, they're not really tame, but we get an awful lot of reports out of that area. And they seem to be good reports. We're getting them from responsible people who seem to know what they're doing. And they're going out there. At any rate, most recently, just, well, I think December now, was the last report. And it's like it was pouring rain, and things standing behind a tree, just staring at some campers. Stayed there for quite a while until one of the campers kind of walked towards it and faced back into the woods again.
There was also wasn't there a recent, I can't remember if it was hard copy or one of those shows. They were doing a Hollywood shoot.
Yeah.
They were inside the car and they filmed this creature which walked across, what we saw as a screen. They were showing through the car window. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, it's very familiar. As a matter of fact, we studied that tape very closely. We had the original and quite a bit of different language than what they had on TV and hard copy. I can imagine. But the point is, if you look at it real close, it almost seems like baggy and light, sitting there white. Our impression is it's wearing tennis shoes. So we really don't think too much of that stuff. That might very well be real, but I don't think so. As a matter of fact, to tell the truth, the news media isn't really very discriminating. They're pretty sensationalistic, actually. So if something is reported on the newspaper or the TV or something like that to your listeners, they take very seriously the possibility of being hoax.
All right, let me extend that now. There is a girl named Quick Cook.
Yeah, there's another one. The shadows go all different ways.
Well, let me set it up. I've got a photograph. It is photograph. He says he bought it from somebody.
Yeah.
And it shows what it looks like an ape with no neck. It's almost like the neck is connected directly to the body, and the arms are long and hairy. And I know that you've seen it, and it's a fairly sharp, clear photograph of something weird.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it that you made out of that?
We think it's a model of some kind. There's all kinds of things that don't add up in that. For instance, it was supposedly taken in the summer, but the trees in the back don't have any leaves on it, like it was late fall or stuff. Some of the shadows don't match up. They go one way and not the other way. Some of the grass in front of the thing, just normal grass is knee high, meaning, hey, this is more probably just a model of some kind. We don't go along with that one at all either.
All right. Now, despite the fact that you looked at some of these things and really made the headlines, and you come away doubtful about them, you still have a basic belief that the Bigfoot thing is real, don't you?
Exactly right. The problem is about 90% of the reports that come in are hoaxes, errors, one thing or another. But that still doesn't mean I don't pay attention to them, because I know there are some of those reports that are good, and we do our best to investigate them all. But you never know. For instance, the Peter Bird that I was talking about earlier once told me a story that he'd investigated of a state policeman that come and told him about a Bigfoot sighting. Well, he went back to the state policeman, and the policeman was very embarrassed because there was just a big black stump there. Point being is that had he not wanted to investigate that, and it would have gone down as a good sighting just because it was a state policeman. And so there are good stories, and there are going to be poor stories. That's what I say. Even drunk or dope addict or whatever, they can see witches as well as anybody else. We just have to look at the stories. We have one just came in recently, and we'll be going to investigate that very soon. As soon as the roads are open again, they're all landslides close the roads east of Estacada, and this is where a couple had gone into an old mining tunnel, and there was poking around, and here was one of these things inside the front entrance of it. This is just east of the town of Estacada in Oregon, and that was let me find my note here. No, that was from January the 2nd. We want to go up there and check that one out real close. I reported also that there was a nest or a bed inside made of sticks and moss and ferns. We'd like to check that out.
What do we know about the habitat of Bigfoot? Is it a nesting kind of thing, you believe, or lives in caves, or generally in the open, or what's the best case?
Very, very mixed. We get reports of all these things, and it's hard to nail them down. That's why I'd like to nail some of these dead reports. I have a lot of dead reports, for instance, where they've done this, sticks with ferns and moss and things. So I'm pretty much think that's what they're doing. There's other reports, though, that tell the things just in the snowstorm, just buckling up on their knees and hunching their back and waiting out the snowstorm. So, in terms of caves, I don't really get many good cave reports. This will be, that's one of the reasons we're going to check this one out, because it might very well be a good cave report. But mostly, even then, they're not deep caves like they live underground, but they'll be inside the lip or a rock overhang or something to keep out of the weather.
Do you think Bigfoot would regard modern man as a predator?
I'm sure every animal does if he was capable of regarding man as a predator. I'm sure many instances where people have taken pot shots at him. As a matter of fact, we often wonder, well, gee, what would be the attitude of a Bigfoot with a 22 shell in his shoulder towards white people then?
Very cool. Very cool.
And every now and then I do get unsubstantiated reports where these things are actually hurting people. But those reports are just really tough to substantiate.
What advice would you give somebody if you actually in the woods or wherever else, even on the ocean, encountered one of these creatures?
Like any other wild animal, especially a bear. But don't run away. Study it. Like even if you run from a bear or any wild animal, there's a good chance they'll chase you. Whereas if you just stand still and ignore them, or look the other way, don't stare them in the eye, just take in all the details you can. It'll be a unique experience if you run across one of these creatures.
And try to remember what shadows you witnessed.
Yes, exactly. And make some notes. The time of day, what the weather was. How long the creature's hair was, the shape of its head, the size, things like that.
One other quick thing. I had multiple reports that Dan Mather on his nightly discussion CBS the other night, twice, once at the beginning of the program, once at the end, made a statement that Bigfoot will be added to the endangered species list. Have you heard that?
I've heard this, and I've heard that Dan Rather said that, and I've talked to several people about it, and so far the best I can get is until they prove it exists, they can't put it on the endangered species list. But, there might have somebody else might have done it anyway. I don't really know. We haven't substantiated that.
Would you say that there is enough proof of the existence of Bigfoot, even just by tales and photos and some moving video, to justify, if you could do it, would you put Bigfoot on the endangered species list?
That's a tough one to answer. I just don't really know, Art. like we say, there's probably thousands of them. Once you put something out, you bring it to official notice, then museums are going to want to get out there, and naturalists are going to want to get out there and poke around in their private lives, which may or may not be good.
It's true. Ray, listen, we're out of time. You know, I want to tell the audience, all we've done is keep a loose cheese. You're the guy I wanted for Bigfoot, and I've got you.
Okay, can I give a plug?
We're going to have you on April 14th on Greenland.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you very much.
That's Ray Crow. We'll be right back. Tonight featuring a replay of Coast to Coast AM from February 15, 1996. We had 1 hour with Ray Crow. Currently, who heads the Western Bigfoot Society. And it was a good hour. And he'll be here April 14th on Greenland to do a show on Bigfoot. But Tom from Alhambra, California said, that's not a Bigfoot. That's a mouse trying to install Windows 95. Yeah, I can imagine that might be the sound. Hey, everybody, I'm Marcel, and this is Coast to Coast, and we've got a lot of fun. I've got some announcements. I also go into some great detail about the nature of that conversation in Boston. But I'm getting regular program. His bosses wouldn't let him go on the program, and I told him he'd get a fair and honest interview. And I am not somebody who generally pays my guests for instruction. I don't do that. Now, without going into detail, he's not comfortable with it. What's going on? And despite my best urgings, and I mentioned to him, and he's well aware, has heard the show with Dr. Nick Begich in the last month. Despite all that, and that PR that Martha's had, and I said, look, I'll give you a genuine opportunity to come on here and tell your side of the story. I did ask him a number of technical questions. And to sum it up, I was not at all pleased with the answers I got. And that made me a little angry. And I called Dr. Begich up and asked him, And Dr. Begich is scheduled to be here tomorrow night, okay, 11 o'clock tomorrow night. And we'll go into some more detail about what the director of HARP said and what Dr. Begich says. The director of HARP has absolutely, and the program manager has absolutely been given an opportunity to come on this program. And I said, repair whatever damage you think has been done to the reputation, the public relations reputation of the HARP project. Dr. Nick Begich is articulate, very bright guy with a lot of good hard scientific data on what HARP is and what it can do. I'll say that'll be tomorrow night. Now, I've got an announcement to make, and I've been waiting a long time to make this. It is with regard to my book. I wrote a book. A lot of you new listeners will not even know because I haven't been talking a lot about it lately. It's called The Art of Talk. And I poured a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears into this book. First, I thought I would never write a book. But these wonderful people at Paper Chase Press came along. I had an offer from HarperCollins and blah, blah, blah. Big companies, a couple other big companies, and I didn't do it. As I don't do TV, but Paper Chase came along. They actually came down here and saw me and met with me. And they were fans of the show, and I think that's what helped. They knew the show. They knew what I wanted to do. And so we did it. And we wrote this book, The Art of Talk, a hardback book of the highest quality. And it's about my life. And believe me, I felt it. It's about talk radio, behind the scenes things over the years that I've wanted to be able to tell people about this program that I've done. And I've been doing this program for going on 12 years now. I do know it may be new to a lot of you, so, obviously in 12 years you collected a lot of things that you can't really talk about on here. I decided before I was going to write a book that was going to be really bluntly honest. And believe me, that's what this book is, bluntly honest. Well, it turned out to be a huge success. It's actually about to go into the third printing now. And finally, we have an offer for you tonight that you're going to love. You know, I'm doing a book signing. It'll be March 16th at the Oregon Convention Center in Portland. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. There will be a very limited number of books for sale there. There will be a limited number, so you really be better to look at them. And I'm going to make it very easy for you to do so. I'm not going to have the Los Angeles Times. I did a big story on it. Well, I'll tell you something. The LA Times reporter came up here and we spent, I believe, about 6 hours together. And we brought with him a photographer who took about 6 rolls of film. Well, the shot they chose to run in the LA Times was a really good photograph. And so what happened is Paper Chase negotiated with the LA Times people, and they got the rights to that photograph. And this has been going back and forth for a while. Anyway, the bottom line is, it's a pretty cool photograph, and you used to have it blown up into a beautiful 8x10 photograph. Glossy 8x10 photograph, you can put in a frame. And I think you like, and I think it catches me in a very fair way, a decent way. I like the picture. The audio subscription service of Coast to Coast AM has a new name, Coast Insider. Coast to get all the same great features for the same low price. The package includes podcasting, which automatically downloads shows for you, and the iPhone app. You'll also get our amazing download library of music shows, and filter of music shows for you to collect and enjoy. If you're a fan of Coast, you won't want to be without Coast Insider. Visit coasttocoastam.com to sign up. Looking for the truth? You'll find it on Coast to Coast AM with George Murray. Now, as we look back, we can probably say our target servant About some people may have been aware of what was going on in a this wasn't just a small little fish like I saw. It was a much bigger fish like the knife. I'm saying it also includes fragile hurt. Strengths, that's really not stop. Because that's very concerned. We're going to have more and more episodes and more involvement in other countries. Just like my work, this country is going through a climate change. Thank God we have more to talk to us about. Going back to the February 15th, 1986, on our bubble somewhere in time. Tonight, the debates. I saw the debates, actually not once, but twice. I saw them when they began, when they ran live on CNN. And then I saw a very, very interesting replay of them. I turned on CNN at 9 o'clock Pacific time, and they were running the debates again. But this time, they had a little disapproval meter. It was really interesting. They had about 40 people, chosen people, who had a little device in their hand. And they could, it went between 0 and 10. And when they liked something, they could turn it up. And when they didn't like something, they could turn it down. And they divided this between men and women. And they had, as the candidates would talk, I dreamed about this for years. It was like a detectable meter. And these lines would go up and down, indicating whether the people, individually men and women, were approving or disapproving of what they were hearing. This is damn thing you ever saw. Not a running lie detector or voice stress test, but the next best thing, 35 or 40 people collectively, and by the way, generally seemingly in agreement, judging what the candidates were saying, and they let this graph go during the debate. It was amazing. Now, I think that I generally found myself pretty much in agreement with those people. And you could watch as various statements were made, and lines were followed by the candidates, or negative remarks were made, or positive things were said. You could watch them go up and down below the center line, either in approval or sharp disapproval. Now, to me, in both cases, the clear winner of the debate was Alan Keyes, Dr. Keyes, I interviewed him here, articulate, convincing, academically sound, very much the biggest social conservative there, in my opinion. And Alan Keyes was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. The audience seemed to like Steve Forbes, said things designed to please the country residents. They're not long enough facts. Steve Forbes came off, frankly, pretty well. Lamar Alexander. How many of you noticed that as Lamar talked, he was obviously very nervous. He was kind of bobbing up and down a lot in the case of the nerves. Pat Buchanan was hoarse. I may be there myself. I'm getting a cold. It's been years since I've had a cold enough. And Pat, of course, has been speaking incessantly, and he was hoarse, tired, but he had his populist themes on trade, and he hit Bob Dole. Bob Dole, kind of, as Bob Dole always is, a bit dour, did not seem to score very well. In some areas, he did what would be called okay. But he was kind of dour Dole. Bob Dole is a good guy. But at times, his presentation seems negative. He hit back a couple of times, and Bob Dole does, at Buchanan. And there was a bit of a fight, whether it was in 40 Taylor, was received well. Simple, he too was nervous. Was not an effective speaker, I thought. Bob Dornan, the fire in the belly guy, was the one who went after prison, and not so much the others. And in that way, Bob Dornan was certainly a standout. But again, I'm going to say it. If you were to score this debate on substance and articulate presentation, I'd give it clearly to Alan Keaton. I wonder how many of you would agree with that. Now, the roof has caved in on Pat Buchanan, the political roof. One of Pat Buchanan's natural co-chairman is down, gone, out. He's none other than Larry Pratt, who is the executive chairman of the Gun Owners of America. I've had Larry Pratt on the show in the past. Today, Buchanan was put in a totally defensive position as the news broke that Larry Pratt apparently in 1992 attended a Colorado meeting with white supremacist leaders. White supremacist leaders, Ku Klux Klan, Aryan Nations, those kind of people were said to be present at the meeting. Now, Larry Pratt, hitting back and said, I had no idea that they were there. You know, I go to these kinds of meetings. And of course, you can imagine that Larry Pratt is very much a pro-gun activist, and these kind of people would show up, and they did at the meeting. He said he didn't know they were there. Nevertheless, Bob Dole, his Pratt said Pratt is a right-wing extremist. Pratt is out. And I'm going to tell you right now, and this is what I have been telling you, whether you think what occurred today is fair or unfair, it is only the beginning. And the media is going to come after Pat Buchanan and anybody connected with him like a rabid dog. They really are. Here, to give you some idea, is a fact I got from Peggy down in San Antonio. Regarding the Pat and Larry show today, Pat Buchanan should count his lucky stars that no members of the Dole entourage listens to as much anarchist radio as I do. Peggy specializes in listening to anarchist radio. She monitors them. Well, Pat would be trying to explain why he, according to the Supreme Commander of the Christian militia, Dean Compton, gave his blessings to the 250,000-man armed march to the southern border of the U.S. to, quote, discourage, unquote, aliens from coming across. Building a cousin to the hated Berlin Wall, as Buchanan promises, is bad enough. Firing on our southern neighbors is nuts. Compton went on umpteen talk shows swearing that he had a go-ahead and Godspeed from the feisty Pat. Pat has said on a C-SPAN panel with pundits not long ago, when asked what he thought about JFK promising a Protestant audience in Houston that he'd be president first, before following the Pope, he kind of didn't miss a beat, said JFK was wrong, and that he, Pat, would never put a church second even to America. So that was good for Rome, was good for the USA. So I have no way of knowing this Pratt's background, and whether it's any deeper than was suggested by the NBC report that I saw yesterday, which shocked only people being in the audience when he was at podium. That's all. That's all they talk about, people being in the audience. All right, maybe it goes deeper than that, and I don't know about it. But I'm adding it up from a different perspective. Maybe Mr. Pratt is utterly innocent of any involvement that goes beyond being at a certain podium. Maybe there is a deeper involvement. I frankly have no way of knowing. I'm only looking at the way this got handled by the Buchanan campaign. I think it's wrong. Either Pratt, there was something wrong with Pratt, in which case Buchanan should have said, he's out. He's out, he's gone. But Buchanan said it's lies, lies, lies. And I'm looking at this now from Pat's perspective, whether Pat wanted to go or not. It's always a, well, tender by resignation or a temporary leave of absence while I get this straightened out or whatever. Pat thinks he's gone, and Pat accepted that. Now, if Pat really believes that there is no such thing as the press has either cooked up or found out, whichever the case is, I told you I don't know. Pat should have been the man of his word, not let Pratt go. Said no, it's going to look as though if I let you go on this leave of absence or whatever it is, it's going to look to all the world like there is something wrong. And there's nothing wrong, and you're saying right here. That's what I would have expected out of Pat Buchanan, I know. That's the point I'm trying to make with you. Pat's always been a straight arrow, straight ahead guy. Look at his defense of Demjanjuk. In the face of charges of anti-Semitic behavior and statements and all the rest of it, he defended Demjanjuk from hell and high water during very rough times. Remember that? And he was accused of being anti-Semitic. And he stood his ground, and I frequently said, look, Demjanjuk was not convicted in a trial in Israel, a place where you would absolutely expect a conviction. He was not. And so on that issue, that Pat was vindicated, and that's one where he hung tough. And the people who respect and stand by Buchanan for whatever else he is, being a man of his word and a man of conviction, I think can't help but do this a little bit the way I do. And the way I do this is he shouldn't have let him go. Whether Pat wanted to go, whether Pat let him go, whatever the real, you never really know because it's always a tendered resignation, whether it was actually a resignation or not. You never really know unless you were there privy to the private conversation. The fact of the matter is Pat's wrong. Like that. And that really smacks of expediency to me. And it doesn't smack of the Pat Buchanan that I thought I knew. So Pat Buchanan had better get ready because the weight of the oppressive American press is obviously, I'm not going to say it is going to descend on him, has already descended on him. It was expected. And the only question is whether or not it is going to stunt in its very early growth any possibility of a Buchanan presidency. And I'm sorry to say that I believe it probably will. This has been my view all along. And if Buchanan, according to the little moving lines, when he got off on the popular schemes of the weather and so forth, the numbers seem to go way up. Otherwise, I don't think Pat did as well last night as he might. He was tired, he was hoarse, and he had just had a pretty rough day with the crop business. So it's swirling out there, folks. It's a hornet's nest of allegations, and it's only just begun. You on February 15, 1996. One thing I will show you, with the audiobook on sale now, you will also get an 8x10 frame signed, a beautiful photograph. In fact, I'm going to be signing all those tomorrow. It's going to take up a lot of my time tomorrow, so I'll be sending those like crazy. Really is a neat picture. I'm happy with myself, and I'm not that happy with pictures taken of me, but I like this one. It's me. So you'll get that with audio book as well. The U.S. military took a laser beam for the first time in history, a laser beam, and shot down a short-range missile. NBC exclusively had the footage as damnedest thing you ever saw. There's a missile down in New Mexico, flying through the air. The laser apparatus moved, tracked it, and fired, and shot that thing out of the sky. Cost $3,000. Patriot missiles, which were shown after the Gulf War not to have been nearly as effective as advertised, cost $650,000 each. Again, the cost of the laser shoot down, $3,000. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Again, don't miss tomorrow night's show on HARP. Because if they're doing that with lasers now, just try to imagine what they can do when they concentrate energy, not just energy, on a specific portion of the ionosphere. If I keep going on with this, I'm going to get angry because I had a conversation yesterday. We'll talk about that first. There is a new report, two new reports actually on AIDS, one from the government. AIDS in America is now up 9%. 16,000 people in America died last year from AIDS. For the second year in a row, it is the leading cause of death for all Americans between 25 and 44. It is interesting. I see one story that says if you're a heterosexual male or female, the danger of AIDS in America is very slight. And then you get this stat that for the second year in a row, it's the leading cause of deaths for all Americans between 25 and 44. Well, that's not a trivial matter, is it? Then I got this from Billy in San Antonio. You're at the CBS Evening News. Reported today there is a new strain of AIDS, the E strain. It was first seen in Thailand, and according to Dr. Bob Barna, it has arrived in the U.S. Well, happy day. It is primarily a heterosexually transmitted strain from men to women and women to men, and is more infectious than the B virus common in the U.S. Some cases are based on a single sexual contact. Why? The first few cases have been confirmed in this country, and Toronto prostitutes, Toronto, Canada, have been confirmed with it now. Meanwhile, Thailand is going through one of the most rapidly progressing epidemics from this strain. AIDS is one of the leading causes of death for men between, as I told you, 25 and 44. Actually, NBC said for Americans. Let's hear it, he says, for marriage or abstinence. Pray for those infected. Believe it, that's in Texas. And that also is my attitude about AIDS. These people are dying, and there's a great stigma attached to having AIDS. And I guess my emotion with regard to those who are infected is one of compassion. They're dying. And I don't care what you have to say about your attitude about people's lifestyles or some of the rest of it. There are people who have AIDS because of blood transfusions, too many of them. There are people who have AIDS because of heterosexual contact as well. And even those who have it as a result of IV drug use and homosexual activity, they're still dying. And I guess I choose certainly not to use the opportunity to go after the gay community or any other community because somebody's dying of this disease. They're dying. And I'll tell you something, bad as IV drug use may be, or bad as homosexual activity I may personally do it, these people are dying, and we need to find a cure for this before it gets at us, one way or the other. A nonchalant attitude about it, well, it won't happen to me, I think is not justified. And this news of the new strain is not unexpected. There's a lot of other news of the day, and I'll try to get to it as I can. Right now, let's go to the phones. Here are the numbers. First time callers. I know a lot of people are going to be commenting on the swirl of controversy around the turn. It was expected. Area code 702-727-1222. The wild card lines. Area code 702-727-1295. Toll free west of the Rockies. It's 1-800-618-8255. East of the Rockies, it's 1-800-825-5033. This is Open Line Talk Radio. Anything you guys want to talk about is fair game. We don't pre-screen calls here. And that at times will be, in a comedic way, obvious that we don't. And at other times, it will bring on topics that you will not hear on other talk shows, and I wouldn't have it any other way. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello. No, you're not. We just missed you. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, I'm Tom from LA.
Yes, sir.
Talking about Ashbrook some time ago, they asked if you ever had a station running in Florida, like Tampa or somewhere.
We have a number of stations in Florida.
Tampa area?
Yeah, we're in Tampa.
Oh, okay. And
Let me see. Tampa, WEMD 760 in Tampa, Florida. Okay.
And the other thing was maybe something that might poke a hole in the alien autopsy.
Yes.
As meticulous as the Army has been through that, I guess it's a 20-minute cycle that they have been showing on video that they've done. You never saw a still photographer though.
I think in the second video that you have not yet seen, there is a still photographer.
Wouldn't he be there for each incision to?
I have no idea, sir. I mean, it doesn't necessarily poke a hole in this. You're seeing just parts and portions of it.
Yeah. You never saw it for each individual movement there, like for the opening the skull and all that. You would think each thing would be recorded that way.
I don't think that pokes a hole in it. It just pokes it a little bit, It pokes a little bit. It doesn't poke a hole in it. I haven't heard one person yet actually prove this to be garbage, be garbage or a hoax or whatever.
Now, what did they say when the film didn't disintegrate after all these years? You mentioned that in some sort of different type of film they used.
Well, it was, I forget now, Kodak Double X, something or another, and I had a photographic expert on, and he gave lots of good testimony about that. Paul John worked for the FBI and so forth, and so he thinks that it was perfectly reasonable that this film was in the shape that it is in, because it was kept very well. It was more unlikely, according to my expert, that the film could have been kept. We know when film was manufactured. Much more unlikely the film could have been kept and exposed at a later date. And he had proof that the film was exposed during the time they suggest it was. That doesn't mean this is not a hoax, but it means that it would be a hoax that somebody held on to for all those years. For what reason? Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Hello.
It's Charlie, liberal in California. I never thought I'd be grateful to the nuts and the militias, but tonight I must say I'm rather grateful for the nuts and militias.
Actually, I think you're expressing your gratitude to Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America.
I think they've done a great job for their country. Let me tell you one thing. Pat Buchanan basically destroyed the Republican Party. I have to say that I consider myself to be an American first. And I think his getting the nomination would hurt the country. And that's
Why? How?
I think he'd be way too divisive. Even getting the nomination. So
Was Ronald Reagan way too divisive for you?
comparing Ronald Reagan.
No, I just asked, was Ronald Reagan too divisive for you?
No, Ronald Reagan, I think, was, I put him as being a conservative Republican, maybe very conservative, but nowhere near the extreme. But here's the thing. You've got all these nuts calling in saying, well, the liberals in going to go after Pat Buchanan. And actually, I just got through watching TV, and you know who the people who are going after Pat Buchanan are? You look at these old news shows, you have Newt Gingrich, who basically said Pat Buchanan's so conservative, he's an extremist. You have Bennett, who I know is a conservative, but Bennett's not a conservative. There's no such thing as a conservative. And Bennett said his immigration policies are basically fascist, and that's Bennett. And then you've got the other Republicans, there's Alexander saying the guy's too extreme, Dole saying the guy's too extreme. And I think it comes down to this: if your enemies call you ugly, you might not be ugly. But when your own family starts calling you ugly, there's a chance that you're actually ugly. And I think these people that are these Republicans need to start looking at some reality here. If conservatives are saying this guy's too extreme, then there maybe there's something to that. And I think the argument holds a lot of it.
Thanks, Trump. Thank you. My own personal view is that there are a number of things, as you know, I disagree with Pat Buchanan. One particular area that I agree with him is on immigration. Whether it takes a wall, electronics, human beings, border guards, like the one who was just on the air, and Charlie, you've got to recall, works for the Border Patrol. You've got to wonder, when Charlie's out on patrol and sees the running hordes that are coming into this country by the millions, how his attitude transfers into the enforcement of his sworn duty. And you've got to wonder whether it does. There's a little side note there for you to think about. Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Oh, yeah, good morning, Art. Thanks for the Food and Neck bumper.
Oh, yes.
That's a beautiful song.
It certainly is.
The thing you were saying earlier about AIDS, I think as far as your compassion and heart to people that are sick, I think you're really on the right track. But I wonder if you're aware that in the scientific community, there's really no consensus about even what causes AIDS. The whole thing about the HIV virus being the cause of AIDS. And so therefore, we're worried about every little variation.
Well, it is very good cause for say. It is in question. There is controversy. I've had guests on the air here saying HIV could no more cause AIDS in men. There's not enough of it. All the rest of it, Dr. Duisberg, I have on. But the fact of the matter is that when all is said and done, the people who die and contract the opportunistic diseases that finally do them in have the HIV virus present. Not all of them. There are some people that have died of AIDS-like things, but the massive numbers of people dying, 60,000 last year, the great high majority of them had the HIV virus present.
Well, many people that have the virus, they get sick.
My attitude is there are some that are not. My attitude is that drugs, as Duisberg has suggested, other lifestyle things, when you have this virus, probably come and get you much easier. In other words, if your immune system is already depressed, and you do things that depress your immune system even further, then you're probably going to die a lot faster. Whereas if you suddenly resurrect everything and stop drugs and you get a good lifestyle and eat properly and get nutrition, exercise, blah, 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 then you can forestall the slow slide inevitable of the immune system. Make sense?
I think it very well could be a variety of factors, but I want to keep people from being too fearful about having a normal relationships and a normal sex life, because at least I don't know about HIV, but when you look at the statistical evidence, people don't get AIDS from casual sex. And I think you do a lot better. You do a lot better by being by a defense and not doing drugs, staying away from mainstream medicine. I think a lot of times people are getting sick not from AIDS, but from the AIDS drug, like AZT and so on.
All right, well, that's also, thank you, Dr. Duberg's argument, and I buy into that one too. I'm not a big fan of AZT. AZT, according to Dr. Duberg, is as much killer as AIDS. And he feels that AZT, when taken by somebody with a weakened immune system, shows a quick spike in T-cell counts, and then a very, very quick downturn. And then AZT itself murders the immune system. Very controversial position, but it may well be the case. The immune system is something that tries to muster its defenses against whatever assault is underway. And so AZT itself, according to the doctor, assaults the immune system, producing a temporary spike or fight, which is then quickly overcome by both AZT and whatever effect there may be of AIDS. Dr. Duberg probably wouldn't include that. And the patient is killed. Now, I have no way of knowing if that is true. It's a great debate in the scientific community. However, I think you're well to make note of this new strain of AIDS that is predominantly heterosexual. AIDS continues to change constantly. And we better keep after it, or one of these changes is going to be a change we're not going to like one bit. That's my attitude about it. Looking for the truth? You'll find it on Coast to Coast again with John Jory.
Let me ask you this, what is going on to necessitate this so there seems to be a deadline in their brains, and they need to get this done. They know their whole new world order is inches from going up in flames. So they're afraid of the awakening, and they know that their collapse is about to take place because we've been shrinking the switch, and we've let incredibly corrupt interests take control of our society.
Now, we take you back to the night of February 15, 1986, on our fellow Somewhere in Time. All right, back to the lines, and here we go. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, this is John out in Seattle.
Hello, John.
I just wanted to, I know that our weather out here in the Northwest has been in the news lately, but I know lately, this year, we've had extremely rare weather. I know it's been that way all across the country, not only around the world, but what I've just seen lately is we had a pretty mild winter up until we had a snowstorm, which dropped down into about 15 degrees. And after that, it went up. Almost like a week later, we got all the rain and the floods and stuff. Now we're into like 60-degree weather. And last night, I tried to get in and talk to you last night, but we had reports on the radio saying that we have a burn ban in effect now.
Well, it's been way all over the country, as you know. And up, down, in, out, violence, horrible cold, snow, and ridiculously warm temperatures through the middle of the winter. And I know where you're obviously going, you're playing the harp on this one.
Yeah, you got that right. I was just going to say, hey, all right, well, your guest tomorrow night and say, hey, what's going on? As I said 30 minutes with the program manager of Heart on the phone.
And I hit him with that and a lot more. And I was not pleased with the responses I got. And that's why Nick Hagan, Dr. Vegas, is going to be here tomorrow night. So it's coming.
So you're going to be talking to him about your conversation and the things that you took?
Yes.
Great.
And then I'll let, of course, Dr. Vegas go ahead and expand to those who haven't heard of a lot of people out there on what Heart is.
Great. Well, Art, I sure enjoy your show, and thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for making it for her. We can do that tomorrow night. I'm compelled to do that after my conversation, and inevitably it's trying to lead me into it. And I don't want to do that tonight. So we'll make this the center of conversation for tonight. So we'll just hold that one for tomorrow. And I will relate to you then the details of the conversation I had with the program manager of Park. It was a very, from my point of view, a very disturbing conversation. You will have one promo somewhere in time. Tonight featuring a replay of Coast to Coast AM from February 15th, 1996. I have the system off tonight. We're waiting some new software. And when I hear about that, you'll hear more about it. So I'll let you know if you want that dial and get hold up. Big news, the debates. I thought clearly Alan Keyes, Dr. Keyes was the winner. And I thought many other things of many of the other candidates, which I articulated last hour. And if you want to comment on the debates, you're absolutely welcome to. Pat Buchanan, in a world of hurt over allegations made about Larry Pratt, who runs Gun Owners of America, as executive director of Gun Owners of America. Somebody got hold of some information that Larry Pratt was at a meeting in Colorado in '92. People in the audience who were Aryan types and Ku Klux Klanners and that sort of thing. And Larry Pratt had been on Pat Buchanan's, it was very high in Pat Buchanan's campaign. He is not now, he's gone. As of tonight, Keys history. Actually, yesterday now. And so Pat was on the defensive all day long. CNN ran a special edition. I saw both live. I saw the live debate, then the one where they had this little line that would go across with people reacting to what the candidates were saying. I wonder what you thought of that. And I wonder if you agree with me that the walkaway winner of that debate was Keys. Absolutely articulate, straight down the line, a social conservative, straight down the line talking about the present state of our society, and a lot of very, 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 very interesting, proper explanations of what's going on and what's wrong. I just thought Keys was brilliant. I've interviewed him on this program, but he was brilliant. He was relaxed. He, by the way, Alexander certainly wasn't. Ron Alexander, who I thought was a pretty cool potato, wasn't cool last night. He was nervous. He was bobbing up and down. Pat Buchanan was hoarse. Bob Dole was dour. Steve Forbes was interesting and was received fairly well. I thought Forbes did himself some good. Buchanan probably goes straight line or lost a little bit as a result of the debate, I thought. Bob Dole probably lost as a result of the debate, I thought. And so he mixed things up in a very interesting way in New Hampshire. So what was your take on it? Did you see it? Do you feel in some way different than my take on it? West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Steve from San Diego.
Hi, Steve.
I would like to talk about the whole number system, how it somehow or another ties into this whole world that we're in. It's a coincidence that our whole number and the way that we work, some way or another, it's like a bunch of circles. They're all tied in to everything around us. I don't know if you feel.
No, I don't.
Okay.
And I have no idea what you're talking about. Circles and numbers.
Circles and numbers. Well, like you and I are two people totally different. Now, somewhere enough down the line, we are, I guess you could say, related. Everybody in this whole world is related in some way, shape, or form.
Well, we share humanity.
Yes, and we also share the same makeup.
I have no idea what you're talking about, sir.
None. I'm sorry about that.
I am too. I'd like to understand what it is you're trying to say. Circles and numbers and relationships, you're not being very clear.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I can help you out. The way that numbers fit into the world that we are living today plays a major role.
You said that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this sort of a Louis Farrakhan speech, 19 or whatever it was?
No.
Well, then, what do you mean? You're going to have to give it to me quickly and succinctly.
Okay, like the Mayan calendar, for instance.
What about
numbers play a big role in that, correct?
numbers play a big role in anybody's calendar, sir.
Okay.
Or time. It's 1:14 and 25 seconds.
But it all relates to each other, correct?
No.
Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding it then.
All right. Thanks very much for the call. Maybe you're just not expressing it properly. I don't know, but I'm unable to understand what you mean. There are all kinds of numbers that are used to measure things like time or dates or times that we revolve around the sun. But I don't see it all connected with some unexplainable circles that touch each other, which is what you were trying to talk about. It's just a fog to me. I'm sorry. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hello.
Peter?
I can barely hear you, Peter.
Can you hear me?
You have to yell in your phone, sure.
Okay, I'm yelling.
All right, good.
I listened to your show on Greenland with Stan Johnson,
Yes,
and I listened to your guest tonight,
yes.
concerning Bigfoot,
Yes.
and I found some interesting correlations with a group of books that I've been reading. It's a four-part collection of channeled work.
Well, that makes me suspicious of it right away. If there's one area of all this that I think smells, to me it's this whole channeling baloney. And I'm sorry, but I think it's baloney. My own sister used to channel, and I still think it's baloney.
What was your opinion on that? There is an interesting correlation in that series of books.
All right, sir. Look, I appreciate your call, but I'm going to say this to everybody. If there's any place where I think there's reason to be suspicious of information obtained through a process they're calling channeling, it is channeling. It's people who will tell you, go into a trance and tell you that in a past life you were related to some great Roman warrior or something or another, and here's information for the world from that great Roman warrior who now speaks through me. So Swami Bell. No, I don't. I'm extremely suspicious of that. It doesn't mean that there might not be something to channeling, but I think that for me it means there's so much phony baloney going on in the area that nobody could properly discern if there was something real, because there's too much baloney in the middle of it all. So I kind of tend to dismiss that pending further and better evidence. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Good morning, Art. Rittmeister Gerhard, conservative in California.
Okay.
I never thought by the way, Charlie is in the customs. He's not with the
U.S. Customs. All right. Well, they also would be on the lookout for anybody entering illegally with substances or their own bodies.
Knowing Charlie, he's probably there handing them the address to the nearest welfare office.
Maybe.
He said something quite amusing, by the way, which is that William Bennett is a conservative.
I believe him to be.
Listen, William Bennett was opposed to the very reasonable stipulations of California's Proposition 187.
I'm aware of that.
Now, anybody who is opposed to 187 is not only not a conservative, but doesn't even deserve to call themselves a Republican.
Well, again, though, this is measured by Rittmeister Gerhard.
That's right.
Okay.
And they are, in fact, probably stealth Democrats who are probably closer to Bob Dole and Bill Clinton than they are to a real conservative. But, what the hell is Charlie?
Who is, in Rittmeister's opinion, a real conservative?
Why, Pat Buchanan.
Well, look, by a lot of measurements, sir, Pat Buchanan is a somewhat socialist in his view, and not typical of mainline conservatives at all, particularly with his ideas on trade. And Pat Buchanan is a self-styled, he calls it American Firster. It would translate to something that I would agree with, and that is putting up barriers to trade without regard, without having as the center of the reason for these fair trade, but just to build the fortress America. In other words, to force jobs back into America, to force these lower paying jobs. It's like fighting Mother Nature. Things are going to be built cheaply in Mexico, China, in Central and South America as they develop. The little widgets and gadgets that are made are going to be made with that cheap manual labor, whether we take part in it or not. That's my argument against what he wants to do. This is going to happen whether we like it or not. Oh, yes. We can, in effect, close the border. We can do that. And it will force some lower paying, lower wage jobs back into the country. Not going to bring back the $10 or $12 an hour jobs. It's not going to do that. But it will force these jobs that of necessity have to be made here. It'll erect some factories that'll start making these things. But it'll all be false because the rest of the world will be making these things at a much cheaper price, and they will trade among themselves. America will then be by itself, and for a short time, we'll have a rise in the old factory kind of jobs we used to have. But quickly, the world will pass us by. It is my area of disagreement with that and abortion. And so that's the way I feel about that. And I very much otherwise like Pat for a lot of his qualities. He's outspoken. He says exactly what he feels. I admire that in anybody. You know I do. Alan Cheese. God, he did a hell of a job last night. Just a hell of a job last night. I think Alan Cheese was a clear winner of that debate. And I'd sure like to know how the rest of you feel. What an articulate man. And seeing and hearing him again reminded me of the interview I did with him. I had to drag that thing out and replay it. It was very good. As was his performance last night. Eastern Rockies, you're on the air.
How you doing, Art?
Okay.
This is Duke. I'm a Hoosier conservative.
All right.
And I want to get on Charlie's case a little bit too, if I could.
Oh, I'm always open to that.
First thing I want to say is that, boy, you can really tell that Pat has him scared. He's got all the liberals scared. And I was actually informed probably about a week ago that this news was going to come out this week by on a local talk show by one of our representatives down there in Washington.
Look, I'm telling you, it's only the beginning. Everybody knew it. Pat has a long paper, or more likely audio clip trail behind him, and they're going to dredge it all up into you to death.
The thing to remember, though, is that Pat also knew it was going to come, and I think that this is what I have to say about it. I think it's great that it's coming out now, and I only pray and hope that Pat can still win the nomination with all this out, because if he does, well, that's only going to hurt the White House, because the liberal trump card has already been laid.
Yeah, did you see the debate?
I watched just a little bit of it.
Did you see that?
He didn't look good, but there were reports that he's been sick ever since Iowa. He's had a cold since the end of Iowa.
Yeah, I'm getting one right now myself. I'm sorry about that. And his voice was hoarse, and he had a bad day, and sure, yeah, all of that. But he had a rough night. And a lot of people in New Hampshire, after all, what is today? Friday morning, right?
Right.
The New Hampshire primary is Tuesday. So there's not a lot of time to correct a building negative.
I have a hard time believing that having won 37% last time, that he's not going to be able to come pretty close to those numbers again this time.
We'll see.
But one more final word in there for Charlie. Pat Buchanan may be a radical, but I think our founding fathers were considered radicals in their day too.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. So was Goldwater. And they managed to slaughter Goldwater. God, I love that man, and I still do. And they destroyed Goldwater with a lot less ammunition in the belt than they have to use on Pat Buchanan. That's just something you want to keep in mind. Looking for the truth? You'll find it on Coast to Coast AM with George Murray. I think now, as we look back, we can probably say with pretty good certainty that some people in government might have been aware of what was going on, and they turned their cheek the other way. Just let it happen. I also believe that some bigger groups got involved with Al-Qaeda to do what they did for the day. This was just a strong group of people who came in and did their thing. It was a much bigger picture of it. Now, if you see the incident of prove this, this tragedy occurred, and we've lost rights, and we lost Afghanistan, and that's really not stopped. Because if they continue, we're going to have more and more episodes, and more involvement in other countries, and start the war. We've decided in America, whether it's militias or any of these other nutball groups that are out there, we have collectively decided the only way to change things is with force and bullets and bombs. And the end, folks, is near. Not for mankind, not the world, but this nation. That was actually on February 15th, 1996. The morning I come down with a locker of clothes over my wife. I want to thank that little disease carrying 14-year-old son of mine for delivering it here on schedule. Ridiculous. They get really sick. They pass on whatever it is they got, and then they quickly get a lot of the adults come to a near-death experience. So, nothing like being a talk host, having 5 hours on the air every night and trying to do it with a cold. And I'll tell you what, if you're high waters, sneezing, coughing, and hacking, I'll be here tomorrow night. Even with the temperature, I'll be here tomorrow night. You take it, still you miss it. It's all about heart for a very good reason. I also watched the repeat of the debate, agree with your assessment of that showing by Keys. But did you happen to notice how the women's line almost always moved faster than the men's? It sounds sexist. But it appeared to me that women are a little more easily swayed than men. That is sexist. The biggest difference between men and women seemed to be the speed, the amount of movement on some subjects. The women's line was nearly off the scale on at least 3 occasions, while the men's line only went that far once. Well, that is sexist, sir. A woman might come forth and say, maybe women are just a little more receptive and sensitive. That brings to mind the commercial with the tennis ball hit the guy in the noggin. Remember that? They've had such a rough go of it lately. The East of the Rockies are on the air. Hi. Good morning, Art. Tim Cameron. Hi, Tim. Yeah, I also watched the CNN debate and or the CNN coverage. And I thought that was a genius device they had come up with and a great idea with the audience. I've been calling for it for I don't know how long, something just like that. And lo and behold, after all these years, there it was on CNN last night. Did you, as you watched it, and this is the interesting question, did you generally find yourself in agreement with it as it went along? If you have a little knob in your head, would you have been treating it pretty much like the people were? Yeah, about 90% of the time I would agree with. Same here. Same here. I thought maybe, what do you think about this for me? A future debate, if they expounded on it, just a bit to where, and the center line that they showed, they had the male and female, and the center line, yes, kind of in the middle, and it would take a pause a lot of times, but sometimes it would be below. Maybe if it hit below, it kind of, it wired up the debater, so it kind of delivered a little shock, just enough to where it got to the point where they went out and yelped, and then, at the end of the day, you would be able to tell who won by the person that yelled the least. Well, I mean, it sounds a little strange. I know, always in the eyes with different words. I need something like it for radio. I need something like that for radio. I don't know what it would be, but I need something like